really stuck out to me because I was really concerned about communicating with my family. Very big part of my mission, helping me get through my mission successfully. And so communications technology improvements are a big deal to me. And then also with the pandemic going on, looking at how food can affect my gut health and my immune system function, I thought that's really an important message. There's technology and medicines, but there's also the basics, the food and water and sleep that we all need anyway. That's a part of the solution as well. Let me go back to Sophia real quick.
Hi, my name is Sophia Manuel. I am from third grade college. What was your favorite food to eat in space?
All of them. My favorite food to eat in space. You know, it's again kind of like my favorite place. I have like a few favorites. I love dried apricots. I love dried apricots on Earth. I love dried apricots in space. It's probably the thing I ate the most of. Now we had to share, being a good teammate. We had a box of things that you open up and everybody has to share those. And it just so happened a lot of my crewmates didn't like the dried apricots. A couple of us really did, but most of them didn't. So there were lots for she and I to share. I don't eat as much of it on Earth, but in space, tomato basil soup. Tomato basil soup is one of the things I ate the most of because variety is important. If you know, eating the same things over and over, they can get boring. Well, I would take the tomato basil soup and add it to something else as a sauce or a dip or just to give it some more moisture. And, you know, putting that on a chicken breast or on grits, it could change the meal. And I was doing my little space chef by adding things together and mixing it to add variety. So I had a lot of tomato basil soup as well. And coffee. I love coffee. Good question, Sophia. Sir.
Okay, and retired aerospace photographer, Black America.
Wow.
My question is, you plan on going to Mars, and in lieu of doing that, have we dealt with reproduction in space?
That's a great question. And I will tell you, I was talking about the experiment I did that, talked about gut health, gastrointestinal health. One thing I learned from that as well is how complex, we talk about how complex the brain or the eye is. One of the most complex systems in our bodies is our gut. And I say that to say that, then imagine doing one of the most important things that happens in here is the germination, the creation, gestation of a human life, the beginning of a human life. And so the effects that it has on reproduction, on the individuals as individuals, but then on the potential for them to be able to reproduce life. There's so many parts of that we don't understand that I would say no. And the challenge with that is, and this is not my specialty, but one of the challenges that I do know, every scientific experiment we sign up for, they brief us on the safety and the impacts. And there are certain things they won't even let us do because it's dangerous. And for example, I can't fly in space for 3 years because my risk of cancer goes up. So they very much protect us. Even though we're subjects, we are very protected. One of the reasons we don't know as much is because they won't let us do experiments where we're going to put human life at greater risk than necessary. And so to find out the effects it has on reproduction, other than me going up there and coming back, I've got 4 kids, one I just sent to college. I'm not having any more kids. My wife's not having any more kids. But we're not going to send someone up there. For example, if one of our female astronauts was pregnant, they would ground her until she was cleared by the doctors to fly. So that's a tough one. But if we are going to try and live on another planet, that is something that we're going to have to understand. And very much so, very much so. And I don't know how we're going to get beyond the review boards to make it something that we can scientifically understand, but safely. Because anytime you do something that involves human life specifically, it's very protected, and as it should be. So, no, we haven't done the work. We know the work needs to be done, but getting there is a unique challenge. Yeah, so when people are like, why haven't we gone to Mars? Yeah, we want to go. It's just not that easy. It's not a simple problem to solve. There's the propulsion, getting life support, building a habitat. Those are the things that we understand. But there's so many of these other things. Here's another piece. We've been looking for life in the universe as long as we've been able to look out into the universe. Before NASA existed, long before, one of the primary things humans have done is stare up in the sky and go, why are we here? Where did we come from? In trying to answer that question, we have learned a lot that we don't know, that we don't understand. And as we look at it, going to the next rock, the moon, or the next rock beyond that, Mars, there are lots of little things about that we do not understand. One of the little things that we think a lot about is When we move there, so we've sent robots there, but when we do, we disinfect them. We make sure there are no microbes on them because we're looking for life. As soon as we send a human, we've got all kind of microbes living on our bodies. As soon as we send humans to Mars, now there's a human being there, a body that has microbes. And so there's now going to be life on Mars. Not just that human, but all the bugs that come with me on my skin and inside of me are going to be on that planet. So if I was to send a human there now and then send a robot to look for life, I'm going to find, so we're also concerned about contaminating. And the only reason I bring that up is just to show it is not a simple thing. It is not as simple as like, launch that rocket, send somebody, step out and know, we want to see the picture and the boot print. Yeah, the first step, for all mankind. But there's so many things to consider. It is not very simple. And that is a big reproductive health. Great question, sir. Thank you. Let me go into the back. Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Just right behind you, and then we'll come back to you.
What's it like flying a rocket?
What's it like flying the rocket?
Yes.
Do you like roller coasters? What's your name, by the way? Philip?
Yeah.
You like roller coasters, Philip?
Yeah.
You did? Yeah, yeah. It's like 100 times better than the best roller coaster. I love roller coasters. It's like the best roller coaster. Look, I would have paid money to do it. It was so awesome. It was fast, and the G-forces and the rumbling and all that. It was an amazing experience. But, riding the rocket, riding in a spacecraft was amazing. But when I looked out the window for the first time, after we got into orbit, I got out of my seat and I looked out the window. That was even more amazing than the rocket ride. See, I actually took out my iPad and started recording a video. If you go to my Twitter feed, you can see the video. I didn't plan it, and I didn't record the video to try to show you what it looks like. I recorded that video to capture how I felt, to capture the impact that it had on me. I kind of run my mouth. I like to talk. I was speechless. I was dumbfounded that my brain could not grasp. I could see so much of the Earth. It's hard to describe. So the rocket ride was good, but the view was life-changing. Okay, sir.
My name is Preston Warren. My question is, do you ever plan on going back into space in the near future?
That's a good question. Plans are an interesting thing. I will say this. Right now, my focus is being on Earth, sharing this really unique experience, being back with my family. I just said I sent one of my daughters to college here in California, and I'm just really focused on that. There's a lot of work that needs to be done here on the ground, and I want to be here to help do it. NASA's working on, through our Artemis program, our generation's Apollo, to send humans back to the moon, but this time to stay. We're going to try to make it permanent. And whatever part of that I can help with, I will. Whether it's helping write procedures, whether it's talking to the crew that goes, or being one of the crew members that go, I'll deal with that when we get to it. But right now, I'm really happy to be back on Earth. It still feels weird to say, to be back on Earth. But my mission right now is one terraformer here on the ground.
My name is Adrian, and I go to from Kennedy Border. And this one, I was going to say, what planet would you like to go if you were safe to go to?
That's a great question. What planet would I like to go to if they were safe to go to? Wow. We have a special telescope that we look at other stars to try to find other planets that could have life on them, that could support life based on the temperature and atmosphere. It's called Kepler. And we have found hundreds, maybe in the thousands now, of planets that could support life. Still haven't found any life yet. So there's planets out there that we don't even know about. We can see stars. Every time you look in the sky and see a light, that's a star, like our sun. You can't live on that. But around those stars are other planets. So I think it would be really cool. I'm a test pilot by trade, and I think it would really be cool to go to one of those that we haven't even discovered yet. It has no name, nobody has seen it. To go to see one, to see something first, that would be really cool. But it's really interesting. I'm glad you asked me that question though, because even that would be neat to do, to visit a short time. Being in space for almost 6 months helped me appreciate is I've dreamed of going to space my whole life. I was in space for 6 months, and for most of that 6 months, I dreamed about being back on Earth. Yeah, that was profound to me. It was amazing. And you know, like the same desire I had. I want to go to space. If I can make it happen, I'll go to college again. I'll go to college again. I went to college 4 times, you know, and I'll learn to fly, and I'll learn to fly upside down and write and talk while I'm doing it. I'll be a test pilot, and I'll go do all this land training, and I'll learn how to give, I had to learn how to give people stitches and pull teeth out and do all kind of other stuff. I'm like I'm not a doctor, but I play one in space. And I would do all that, and being in space, one of the first things that dawned on me is, boy, we've got it good on Earth. Earth is amazing. Earth is beautiful. One of the astronauts that passed away in Colombia, he wrote a letter to his family, and we had it posted up in space on the airlock and the hatch, and it says, the last sentence he tells his family, you know, if I worked really hard to get here, and I realized that if I had been born in space, I would long to go to Earth much more than I ever longed to go to space. And I think that's true. So, long answer to your question, any planet would be cool to visit that we don't live on, but at the end of the day, it would be this one, because everybody I love is here. Yeah, good question. Okay, so you guys are, you've been winding down. Okay, one more? Okay.
You said something, and I don't know if you've ever said this in front of my wife, but you just said that you would entertain the thought of going to the moon and staying there. Was that have you thought about that? Would you really do that?
Yeah, so listen, this is
so easy.
This idea. Well, I didn't say me, but humans, so that humans said, in Apollo we went and came back, they were short and right. So here, well, I gotta put some context with this. This is important, and I talk with my hands, so it's really hard. I'm a pilot, I talk with my hands. So, is there anybody in the room that's 20 years old? 20? Any 20-year-olds? Okay, 19. 18. 17. Okay, everybody who's younger than 18, all younger than 18, raise your hand. Actually, stand up. Stand up. Some of you already are. Okay. Everybody else, look at this part of the room. Everybody who is under, actually, if you're under 21, raise your hand. If you're younger than 21. Okay? Look. For the rest of you, you might know this, but you might not. So look at these folks. Look. They grew up. They spent their entire lives on Earth while a human was in space every moment of their lives. We launched the space station in 1998. We put people on it on November 2nd of 2000. And the same people haven't been there. Thank you all, you can sit down. The same people haven't been there, but we have rotated crews continuously overlapping so that human beings have been in space continuously since November 2nd of 2000. In November, it'll be 21 years. If living in space was a human being, they would have been able to vote a minute ago, and now they'd be able to, do whatever the adult things you can do at 21. It would be an adult now. There are adults on this earth who have lived their entire lives with other humans orbiting in space. Their lives, put it another way, all the humans alive haven't been on Earth for their whole lives. That's a major perspective shift. And everybody doesn't know that. People are interested in launches and landings. They know I went to space. They don't realize I lived in space. It was my address. That's where my mail went. So if I go to the moon, it wouldn't be that I would stay, but I wouldn't leave until somebody else came to relieve me. My daughter asked me on my last deployment, I've deployed 6 times, well now 7 if it's not space. In the Navy on carriers, I deployed 6 times. And I would always talk about duty honor country. Why you gotta go, Dad? Duty honor country, duty honor country. Gotta go serve my country. And the very last time she said it, she asked me the same question. I know we were gonna get into this, the tears, Mama gonna cry, I'm gonna start crying. And I said something different. She said, Dad, why do you have to go? I said, I have to go so somebody else's mom or dad can come home. And she said, oh, okay, that makes sense. First time it made sense to me. That's what I mean. We want it to be rotational, but it would be sustained. Meaning, that's now low Earth orbit. I didn't go there to visit. I lived there. My body had completely adjusted to it. This is now what I'm doing. We live there. Humans live on Earth and in low Earth orbit. With the goals of our Artemis mission, we are trying to make it so that humans will live on Earth, in low Earth orbit, in lunar orbit, that means in orbit around the moon, and sometimes on the surface of the moon. We visited in Apollo. 18 humans made that 240,000-mile trip. 12 walked on the surface. We're trying to make it so that that's not a thing we do once or for a period, but that humans have that opportunity to do it as long as we can, as long as we collectively think that that's something important that we can do. So my wife hasn't told me I can go forever, but somebody.
We only have time for one more question, because I have some presentations that still need to be made. So one or two more
Okay,
questions.
last question. Probably the youngest person in the room. Let's end it with your question. What's your name?
It's just in his hand, but baby bunnies doesn't know how to live. If these grown-up bunnies know how to live in their planet, and these baby planets are just as strong as
So I have a question for you. You just told me, you just taught me something. Did you read that somewhere? Do you really like bunnies? You know what? So thank you for sharing that. What did you say your name was, Gabrielle? Gabrielle, thank you for sharing that. And you know, one of my favorite things about this job, it has been since before I flew in space, and it continues to be, even though I've had that grace and that really unique opportunity to live up there. One of my favorite things about this is that this career, this journey that I've been able to be on, makes people read and think about science and life and technology. It makes them go after things and consider things that we wouldn't consider for any other reason. You asked me about the science and what things we worked on that make things better here on Earth. If you look around this room, you don't realize it, but all the technologies you're looking at, these cameras, the film, the GPSs in all of our pockets, the communications, the phones, all these recordings that you're making, all that technology has been pushed forward by trying to put humans in space, but more importantly, keep them there safely and bring them back to their families. Doing that safely requires us to understand things that maybe we didn't think were important, but knowing how baby bunnies can live on another planet safely, how those bigger bunnies can live safely and raise their baby bunnies. Somebody had to think about that, or actually, we're going to have to think about that. We're going to live on another planet. But going out of our comfort zone and having to do things, and while doing that, working together across gender, race, religion, and creed, taking the best of all people and challenging ourselves to attack those problems and answer those kinds of questions is my favorite part of the job. We get to talk to people all over the world and listen to and share things that, like, I just told you about riding a rocket into space and how awesome it was, and riding that spaceship back to Earth and that heat shield, and like all the technology that it takes to do that is great, but the connection that it creates to people and the motivation and the inspiration that turns into new decisions and new challenges that we set for ourselves, that's amazing. And that truly has been a blessing. And so thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of that with you. Thank you very much.
Andrew Weber truly does love to talk. All day long. At this time, all of the presenters that still have not been able to present your certificates, can you line up on this side so that we can kind of move through that? If we want to be out of here by 11:30 in order to give all of you an opportunity to go and position yourselves at the pavilion so that you can still get great shots seeing them arrive at the pavilion. So those that still have certificates or whatever to present, I'd like you to come forward.
Amazing work that you've done in the and community trails there.
Thank you so much. Hold on, she just got here, so. Good to see you, good to see you. Thank you, thank you. That's good.
My name is Debbie Diaz, and I'm a field director of the National Member Unit. And from the supervisor, same as myself. So very nervous to be here today. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I think that the integral of this event really changed how we go. I know that you're inspiration for the children, but you're special inspiration for us and all of the we will never ever be able to know. There's not a lot of people that are going to be able to say we met an actor that was in space. So thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for the family member also. And your motivation, especially when it's still in the California State Assembly of 52nd Assembly District, it is our pleasure to recommend the service. Your advocacy for education and community example in order to better prepare them to be innovative and forward-thinking leaders for the future. As a fellow native of Florida, it is an honor to welcome you back to the
Thank you for all the work you do with our youth. And on behalf of Congresswoman Alma Torres, your hometown Congresswoman, she presents you this special congressional recognition of outstanding accomplishments and for serving as a role model to the next generation of aspiring young leaders. Thank you for your participation in the 2021 Unity and Community Day. Your commitment to the community is admirable. And it's signed by our Congresswoman Alma Torres.
Thank you so much.
Maybe you'd be. They did too.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in there. Awesome. Make matter.
Oh, excellent. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Put that away real quick. I don't know where that is. Thank you.
All the way. Back up.
Okay, where's my hat? Sorry, I gotta give you that back. We don't have a hat as part of our uniform. I know. But I'm a Navy officer. I can salute on the covers. That's right. Thank you. This is my uniform.
Thank you so very much. By the way, wow.
Well, I'll be back and hope to get to come visit the high school.
Very good, sir. We're grateful to have you. Okay, that'll happen.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Adams, I'm Rhonda's friend. We work at the same place. That's my dad. you are there. That's my oldest sister. So I'm older. I'm the auntie.
I was sweating. Is he gonna have a reaction?
I'm trying to these are
I didn't get one.
I'm gonna ask you, tell you you need one for the report.
That's why they have to do it.
All right, Mr. Adam, you have a great day.
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
Every day.
That's the first time I ever seen Ruben cry. He
You know,
who is that?
That's why I stepped back, because I thought I was in the way, and I was.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, but it changed, obviously. I'm trying to get set up and go real quick. Thank you, sir. You too.
Bunnies on the tree, say bunnies on the tree. Bunnies.